Hi, I'm Aaron.
And I'm Stella.
And we are the Drawing Duo. We know YouTubers out there like drawing videos, so that we thought we'd create some of our own. But we're going to do a little different. Instead of just drawing other people's characters, which
we will sometimes.
We'll have some days where we're drawing, on drawing days where we draw characters. We're going to show you guys the fundamentals of drawings, which means
head shapes, eyes, different mouths, different noses.
That's right. So when you guys have watched a number of videos, you can start building your own characters instead of just copying other people's. So we're going to start with kind of the foundational structure of characters, meaning the shapes they're made out of. And we're going to start with geometric shapes, and then we're going to move to something more organic. So that's what we're going to start for the first few videos. And shall we get started?
Yes.
Okay, to start off, we're going to take a look at the fundamental aspects of drawing. Now, to begin with, we are going to start with materials. We're going to use pencils, erasers, and paper. The benefits of that is that we save the environment by not wasting a whole ton of paper. Using pencil allows us to sketch out a rough aspect before we get to finalizing the drawing, and allows us to erase our mistakes and start over again. So we're going to stick with pencils, and then throughout future videos we'll look at inking stuff once the stuff has been sketched in pencil. So we're going to talk fundamentally the geometry of everything. So all characters are made up out of shapes, and the shapes can be kind of two different ways. One is very geometric, and so you have circles and squares and triangles. And for the most part, you can have some people who draw characters very geometrically, and we'll look at some geometric characters. And then we have characters that are going to be more organic, and so they're going to have kind of lima bean type styles, or they're going to use a lot of arcs for their different aspects. And so we're going to kind of go through different characters from those different approaches. Each one has their benefit. Each one, it's a personal preference. So if you want to draw geometrically, you can draw geometrically. If you want to draw organically, you can draw organically. So let's take a look at some characters that approach from different aspects, and we'll try and draw some of those pieces and go from there. The first character we're going to start with is going to be Phineas from Phineas and Ferb. He's a great place to start because he has a kind of a base skeleton or a base look that's very geometric, but then as you finesse him, he starts to become more organic. So we'll start with him. The first thing you do with him is you do kind of this upside down triangle. And the bottom of the triangle kind of ends where his neck is. Where his neck is, we're going to just kind of make a little bit of a oval. Okay, his body is a little bit of a triangle, you know, a little bit kind of a parallelogram, but it's also a bit of a triangle. So we're just going to create another triangle. His shorts are a little bit of a rectangle that we'll enhance a little later. Okay, his sleeves are a triangle. And we don't need to be perfect the first time because we're just trying to get a general idea. So we're going to do another triangle over here. And they look a little more like parallelograms or polygons, but they have a triangular shape. If we were to keep drawing, it would make a triangle up here. We're just going to stop early. His arms are a bit of a rectangle for the arm parts. His hand is a bit of an oval. His legs are rectangles. We can just show them as two lines for now. His shoes are going to be ovals. Now the first time you draw him, he may not look just like Phineas. He may take a little while to get all the details figured out. So we're going to look at his eyes about, I would say, 1/3 over. You're going to have one eye. That might be a little big, maybe. We're going to do the second eye behind that one. And then his hair is kind of a series of spikes. And the spikes will be different. It's hard to draw hair sometimes. That's one of the things we'll practice in future videos. The hairs can always look kind of weird, so we'll do our best to get his hair. On this side of his head, a little ways down, we have the ear, but we'll get to the ear in a little bit because we're going to enhance him with some better lines. But overall, that's kind of your basic shape of Phineas. He also has kind of a half moon mouth. It starts here and kind of goes up towards his eyes. Open with a big smile, okay. Now that we have the base down, we can go back and we can figure out where we need to improve. This is one of the reasons why we like to use pencils. If you use pencils, you can change your character. If you use pens, then every time you goof up, you can't erase. You can't go back, you can't change, you can't improve your character. You're stuck with what you have. You're crumpling up, you're throwing the garbage, and you're wasting all this stuff. So we're going to go back and we're going to try to improve some of the stuff. So Phineas' kind of back part of his head is a little bit curvier than just a triangle. There's a bit of a curve to it. So we're going to put a curve in there. And then about halfway down, he's got an ear that's like a C. Let's put that ear in there. Now, as we go through, we can go and start erasing this. Now, it's not going to erase fully, but the kind of point is that we just get a rough in as we build it. We're not looking to have it perfect. Almost no artist can have a perfect drawing every time of the character. Even if they've been drawing the character for 10 years, it's hard for them to pull off a perfect drawing every time. So this is all about practice. We're going to make the eyes a little smaller. I think we got a little big on the eyes, so I'm going to make my eyes a little smaller just so that they take up a little less of the top of his head. And I'm not going to finish it around because the line actually comes through the one eye is behind his head and the one eye is in front. So I'll just kind of draw just that as an arc instead of the full circle. And then I don't have his nose long enough, so I'm going to get his nose a little bit out there more and curve it in to his mouth. So we have a little bit longer Phineas nose. And again, don't worry about erasing perfectly. And then the mouth, we have a little bit of a curve into the neck. Whoops. So let's erase that. That was a bad arc. Okay. With the eyes, we're going to draw those darker so there's look nicer. And his inner eye is another oval, but there's also a little bit of a light speck in there. So before you fill it in, you've drawn another circle inside. You draw around that. Outside is the same thing. You draw kind of a hidden part of an oval. A little light speck in there. So we have his eyes. We're going to get his sleeves a little bit better here. So we're going to curve these sleeves a little bit. They're not perfect triangles, but we're going to give them some curves. And then they have a bit of a curve down to kind of show like a volume of a sleeve, give it a little more organic look. And we're going to curve this a little bit. And his body has a straight line going down. A little bit of curve on the back, so we're going to bring this curve back here a little bit. Give it a little more curve. We're going to erase this because there's too many lines. And this sleeve goes all the way up into his neck. So is that sleeve. We have a little bit of curve arc underneath his neck there. And we just try to draw back in the arms. And this hand can go away because it's tucked behind his body. So it's just going to kind of come and tuck back there. Now his pants, we're going to define a little more. The front leg is a little shorter. So we're going to do a little higher. And then about kind of 2/3 to half, the back leg starts. And they both have a little bit of a curve down. Give it a little more of an organic look. We're going to bring this leg up here. Erase the extra line. And that was a bad leg right there, but that's okay. It's okay that we make bad legs. We can't draw perfect every time. And then we're going to put a little sock on here. And his shoes kind of consist of a little patch that's supposed to be like laces. And then we have a little part at the bottom that looks like soles. A little patch that comes across, makes them look like Converse All-Star type shoes. We have socks that we need to put on his back leg, and the same thing. We're going to make these a little bit longer. Again, it's okay to erase, clean up the strokes. We're going to put a little patch back here for laces. We're going to put a sole on. We're going to put a little part on the front. So his shoes almost kind of look like kind of squished footballs a little bit. And we can erase these lines here so it looks like his socks kind of bleed into his shoes. So we got his socks on. We're going to draw his arms a little more solid. And then his hand kind of curves out here. And then Phineas has 3 fingers, so we're going to draw 1 finger. Okay, and then we're going to draw another finger. And we're going to draw a 3rd finger that's kind of tucked next to the 1 finger. And we'll go through and kind of draw. We'll lightly erase some of the lines that are in there so his hands look like, his fingers look a little more completed. And we'll curve his shirt to kind of go with his pants and the sleeves. There's a little bit of curve there. And we can go back and fix up the hair. The hair will probably be one of the hardest parts to get really good with Phineas. It'll take a few times to get the hair drawn really nicely. And then we put in some finishing touches. So he's got a row of teeth at the top. Go all the way back. He's got a row of teeth at the bottom that go up and back. And see the back of his cheek there and a little bit of the tongue back here. And then his ears got a little bit of this B shape going on. I made mine a little big. And you have Phineas. There he is. The interesting thing is that he started with pretty basic geometric shapes. Some triangles. A square, some ovals. But by going back, using a pencil, erasing our lines, cleaning up our lines, going back over our lines, making mistakes, trying again, then we start to get something that looks very much like Phineas.
And don't forget the dots.
And the dots. Oh, yeah, we got to get the little dots in his hair. Nice little touches like that make a cartoon character special. So that is a very geometric character that we tried out. So from here, we'll try looking at some other characters, some that are more organic. So that was drawing Phineas. He's a really good example of a more geometric character. His kind of base structure is made out of very geometric shapes like triangles, circles, ovals. But in the future,
we will have more organic shapes and characters.
Yep, so tune in next episode. We'll take a look at another character that's a little more organic than geometric, kind of falls in between, and we hope to see you then.